Welcome to the PDC. This is Tim Collin. My name is Chris Harris. I don't think I've met any of you before. So I'm accountable basically for all supply that comes in through Robinson, and that includes our grower management development team, which is our team that works out in the field with our sort of network of strategic growers. We're farming this year around 12,000 acres by the time we're done. We have investment in the ground that we're accountable to, often with our own seed varieties. And part of the reason for being involved in the ground in that way is to really look at how we can improve yields in the field, improve profitability to growers, and also improve the finished product that comes through to our customers like yourself. One of the things that's hard for smaller regional growers or even some pretty large ones is to understand, how do you keep up with that technology? How do you focus on all of that development at the same time as trying to be a grower, at the same time as trying to make a crop and worry about the things you have to worry about, labor and everything else. Probably one of the most unique things about this area here and what we're working on is we're growing Seminis alongside Origin, alongside American Tacky, alongside Cicada. And so because these are being grown under exactly the same conditions with exactly the same applications, we're really able to compare and contrast to that heads and challenge. Stretching corn, tomatoes, peppers, mini peppers, cucumbers, squash, various varieties of melons. When we're thinking about trialing products, I want to be clear. I think people sometimes get in their heads that we're only looking for the new exciting varieties. We have 35 R&D level varieties here. What I mean by R&D is they're not anywhere near full production, right? They're things we're genuinely trialing for the first time. We are chasing after flavors, after some really cool, eye-appealing stuff. But that's probably no more than 10% of what we're trying to do here. The other 90% is split up pretty evenly between how can we improve yield in the field by learning about these different varieties, and then what growing techniques can we apply to them in order to maximize the yield, minimize the cost inputs, maximize the flavor inside varieties we already understand. So it's about growing technique improvement. Nothing in this field and nothing that we do right now is GMO. What we're doing is we're doing gene selection. We're looking for the correct characteristics, and then we're crossbreeding appropriately, as are all the companies we work with. That's where Robinson can add true value to our growers in terms of some of this knowledge, some of this investment we can make because we spread it across all of our growers versus a single grower trying to make that investment on their own to learn the lessons we're learning. The more consistent we can be in terms of availability, pricing, quality, that hits a certain spec, then the better returns we're going to be able to get back to the farm. And so what our guys have come to understand is that helping each other out, helping the grower down the road out, actually in our case is advantageous. We work with our growers as we'll kind of trade information with more of a community, because what we've understood is the more consistent we can be in that Melon Up brand, in that Rosemont Farms brand of product, the more consistent we'll get in terms of our sales across the marketplace, and then ultimately the better return to the farm and the better product for our customers.
With a lot of passion around bringing quality material back to the marketplace.
And in order for us to feel comfortable putting it into that 12,000 plus acres we have in production, I want to know it does what it's supposed to do. Firstly, And then secondly, I also want to know what we need to do, what different techniques we're going to look at growing against it, what different chemical usage. So we got to try a lot of different things here. It's not just about seed development, but
we have a pretty good understanding of what you as the customer needs, but we also need to understand that whatever you need has to work for the grower. So this is what we refer to as a full stack approach. If it works for the customer, it has to work for the grower and vice versa. Otherwise, it's not sustainable on either side. We'll come out here in about a month and we'll start evaluating. And we look at these very, very differently than most of the commercial seed companies. We're looking at pressure, we're looking at bricks, we're looking at yield, we're looking at pieces of fruit per plant, we're looking at nitrogen use. We have a whole gamut of KPIs that we study very, very closely. And then what we'll do is we'll take that information and we'll work with Robinson's network of growers around the world, and we help them prosper. And we'll make suggestions about varieties, but more importantly, we'll help them. We'll not only bring world-class genetics to them, but we'll also help them succeed with those genetics.
We have agronomists, field technicians on staff that also offer advice, help them with their chemical regimens, their planting schedules, and everything else. But I would say there's another factor to this which makes Robinson Fresh pretty unique versus probably any of our competition I'm aware of, is not only because we have this broad portfolio of things that we grow, we have this ability to better rotate crop because we can come greens, we can come broccoli, then come back on with cucurbits. And that allows our growers to rotate their land effectively, which is a massive benefit against that chemical use we've been talking about all day and generally the disease pressure. We're utilizing some technology that hasn't been heavily utilized yet. As you pan over there, and you'll see a white mesh, and that's called Agribon. This is something we started trialing here a couple of years ago. It's actually pretty expensive to put it on. What it really is you heard about the shade house over here. It's almost like a shade house for a row. When we eventually pull that cover off, when we're ready to remove it, it just kind of explodes out of it because we've protected that plant, we've nurtured it with limited chemical use, just what we're pushing through the drip. And what we found is that if we get, 3 uses out of it, Tim, which is why we've got these weird little plastic balls on top of the spikes holding it up, then it becomes a pretty cost-effective way, particularly when you're coming either very early in the season or very late in the season. You have those risk moments where you have like a whitefly pressure or you have heat pressure. It really moderates the whole thing. It allows you to protect the plant. Notice a lot of our plastic around here is blue. In fact, all of our plastic around here is blue. What we learned last year, we ran a number of trials in the Product Development Center last year, and we discovered that for various reasons we're seeing the significantly better yield on blue plastic versus black plastic. And so, again, we're running more trials this year to validate that. And then starting the year after, we'll be starting to recommend to our growers and giving them the evidence to support it that blue plastic is probably the way to go. The goal really is to understand how each one of those perform, whether it's a mini pepper by Origin or a mini pepper by Seminis or a mini pepper by Cicada. What produces the best yield? What has the most consistency? We're also then looking at some disease-resistant applications, whether it's fusarium resistance, and then we're looking at some other input type thoughts around less nitrogen usage, and particularly in the big one right now here, less water usage.
Okay. So we have here at the Davis PDC, we have approximately 4 acres worth of area that we trial product on. The way we do everything here in-house ourselves. We grow our own transplants. So as there's a back behind those oak trees right there, inside the green warehouse, there's a germination chamber. A germination chamber is used to seed the various commodities into trays, and we have ultimate control over water and humidity. And every single melon that's out here, or every single commodity that's out here, is out here for a specific reason. Chris pointed out we're working with a number of different seed companies, as you would expect. By the time we're done here with these trials, we'll know sufficiently more information about these varieties than most of the seed companies will.
Starting on about the 22nd of July, we'll see our first crops come through here. And then on a weekly basis, we'll have a number of our growers through here about once a week. And then hopefully, including yourselves, we'll have a number of our customers come through here from the end of July through the end of August, about once a week. We're going to host days here where we'll cut product, we'll taste product, we'll see how it's grown.